The best player in the world, the unofficial best player in the world, Mr. Jannik Sinner, stand up. I know the rankings don't agree with me, and I know a lot of people may disagree with this, but I'm going to give you my take. I think Sinner has the right to argue that he is the best player in the world. Before we get into everything, I want to just say sorry. I know I've been away for quite some time, but I've got some more content lined up. But leave in the comments the videos you want to see. I'm going to be back. I'm going to be uploading again. But I want to talk about today, and I want to talk about the 2025 Sinner's had and whether he actually does have the right to say he is the best player in the world. One of the most interesting things about this whole rivalry in general between Alcaraz and himself, Sinner, is that these two continue to push each other and they continue to make amendments to their games when they lose finals. You look at the French Open, Alcaraz beat him, Sinner made the amendments, won Wimbledon, Alcaraz made the amendments, won the US Open, and today what we saw was Sinner make more amendments to his game that Alcaraz couldn't keep up with, and that's what brought him the title today and what won him the ATP Finals. One of the big things that we saw in the US Open that Sinner struggled with was his serve. Today he let his second serve go off, and he used a lot of variety which he doesn't normally use. The use of the drop shot today was huge because it upset Alcaraz a bit. One thing to note about this whole match in general was that Alcaraz had a bit of an injury that he picked up in the first set, and that kind of caused a bit of a cloud over this match where Sinner just took advantage of it and won in straight sets. Maybe if he wasn't injured, it would be a lot different because Alcaraz could contain the storm a lot easier, but today he couldn't, and I think physically he couldn't keep up with Sinner because Sinner was just mixing it up and he had all the jokers and all the aces in his hands. But the reason why you click this video probably is because you want to hear, and you'll probably either agree or disagree with my statement, that Sinner is probably the best player in the world. The reason why I say this is because let's have a look at the rankings. I think the rankings are really important within this. Alcaraz holds the #1 ranking spot, and I think he owns it because he was the best player in 2025 in that 12 or 11 month period from January all the way now to the end of November. There's a caveat to this. Jannik Sinner didn't play 3 months, and I think that is important to know about because this whole race was really, really interesting and went straight down to the wire. He missed a few 1000 events and a few other tournaments which could have ultimately led this to become not really a race where Sinner would have just automatically won the world #1 and won the ATP Finals. I'm not saying that would have happened, but I'm saying this is a big hypothetical in which why I think 2025 could belong to Jannik Sinner. Maybe those 3 months, on the other hand, allowed him to get some rest, regroup, and pretty much just get his mental state in the right place for him to fight for Roland Garros, Wimbledon, and the US Open. Maybe that's also another thing. But I think the way that Sinner is playing and the way that Sinner is playing at the moment at his age, I think he's one of the most mature tennis players that I've ever seen at 24 years old. I think when you compare Alcaraz and Sinner and the way that these two play, Sinner is a lot more consistent than Alcaraz in terms of matches and in terms of results. Alcaraz can be beaten off in a random round 1 match, for example, against Cam Norrie, whereas I think Sinner has to have a really, really, really bad day in the office for that even to happen. He's most likely guaranteed to almost make the semi-finals of every tournament he plays. But I think across the whole board, I think Sinner will be a lot more consistent than Alcaraz because I think Sinner's game is just more consistent than Alcaraz's game. On the baseline, he's reliable, whereas Alcaraz tries to be, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but he is quite a maverick and quite a showman, and he likes to hit one of the craziest shots. Whereas I think Sinner, he's quite robotic in the sense where he knows what to do, he knows where to hit, and he makes the right tennis play all the time. Whereas Alcaraz will take that risk. But 2025 is super, super, super interesting. 4 slam finals for Sinner. He was so close to win that Roland Garros. You know it, I know it. It was just 1 point. He could have won that. And he would have gone into that US Open final where he had the opportunity to win 4 slams in a row. And all 4 in 1 year. The way that I judge tennis and the way that you judge tennis may be a bit different. I like to judge them on the slams, the ATP Finals, and the 1000 events. And I think when you look at that, especially the slams, which I hold to a really high value, Sinner's been way more consistent than Alcaraz this year. And that's not to say Alcaraz, he's made 3 Grand Slam finals, he's not been inconsistent, but I just think Australian Open might have a bit of a knock to him, but he's made, I think we're just talking about such fine margins here where I feel like I'm nitpicking so much and I'm kind of disrespecting Alcaraz, but by no means do I think that at all. I think Alcaraz, he's the world #1. What can I say? But what I will say is that Sinner was super consistent every tournament that he played. But let me just wrap this up in a sec because I think what we need to do here as well is also give credit to both players and what they're both doing. Here's an interesting stat which I saw on Twitter the other day that every tournament that these two players have played in, so both of them, if they've entered both of them, one of them has either won them. So this is crazy. This is an unbelievable stat, and that whole 2025 has to belong to not just one player. And I know this video will say 2025 Sinner's year, but ultimately 2025 belongs to Alcaraz and Sinner, because without one, we won't have the other, and we won't have these two matches that we're just seeing. The matches that we've seen this year, we've been kind of blessed in essence, but both players deserve their flowers for making at least 3 slam finals, Sinner 4. It's just ridiculous the levels that we're seeing and the 1,000 events that these lot are playing. It's just a lot of tennis that these two have played, and I hope and pray that these two recoup, rest, and are ready for next year, and hopefully we see more of these two's rivalry. But my hope is that a third wheel comes along as well. But 2025 ultimately will belong to these two players. In my opinion, you can say Alcaraz, I'm definitely not going to argue you finished 1-1. But I would ultimately argue that Sinner has had the better 2025 in the tournaments that they played. Maybe unpopular, maybe controversial. Leave your thoughts. Hopefully the Italian fans will back me in the comments. But I know the Alcaraz fans, they're going to be, they might be a bit disappointed in this. But at the end of the day, we're just blessed that we get to see both these players play. And I think it's important that we just hope and pray that these two players play and stay fit. And I think that's really important. But yes, that is 2025 done. I'm going to do a really extra long video. So leave in the comments. I'm going to review 2025. If you want to see that, leave a like in the comments. But ultimately, 2025, today was Sinner's day. Alcaraz had his day this year. Sinner's had his day this year. I think Sinner will have the last laugh because it's the last title. But ultimately, both of them will shake hands and say, let's go again as a 50-50. Leave your thoughts in the comments. As always, it'll be really interesting to see this. I'll be back. I'm going to be uploading. Don't worry. But I just need to keep motivated in this. It's been a hell of a year. So I'm grateful to be back. And hopefully this video can show me and give me motivation. Hopefully you guys can show support for this. But yes, Jannik Sinner, congratulations. Alcaraz, congratulations. But Sinner is the champion today. Will he be the champion again in January? Let's have a look. As always, peace.